What's up, guys? This is Jeff making my first video. Haven't made any videos with charts or trading yet, so we'll see how this goes. But basically, this is going to be my watch list for a few plays I think could be pretty good this week or the following weeks. So the first one we have is any. We're trading in this 550 to 750, 780 range for the past few weeks, and it's kind of better to see it with the daily too. It's a pretty strong level here and building the volume profile up in between, but I think this is a pretty safe play for a bounce off of the 550 to 575 range, and could probably move easily up to the 650s or 7s where it's a little more volume in here, and then under 550 I wouldn't go long. I would need to see a bounce from there. The next one I have is EVRI. This one broke a downtrend on the weekly last week and was able to close above this resistance of 2360. And this is like a sports betting / gaming type play. They have a relationship with Penn for their virtual wallet, so anytime Penn or DraftKings runs, this is somewhat of a sympathy to that, and I think we're starting to see it finally break out of the range that it's in. So the keys that I'm watching would be a dip to 2350 or 2360 and to go long from there if that holds up, and then the next big levels are just the all-time highs, which is just about 26. So the daily, you could see it broke through that resistance and then had a little wick off of it on Friday and moved up pretty nice the past week from 21s all the way up to 25. So this is a good watch for me. The volume is still relatively lower. There's not any huge increases recently. If you look at the weekly, it's still under that like 20-day average. So I'm looking for some more volume to come into this one, especially if the other sports betting and gaming plays start to get more hits. All right, so here we have QuantumScape, ticker QS. If we look at the weekly, it's severely lower than its all-time high around the 130 earlier in the year or late last year, and we could see like it finally got some heavy volume coming in this week. So if we move over to the daily, we could see 25 has been this support resistance level that finally got broken this week, and it also is 25 is a pretty big psych level. So I'm watching this to see if we can get a bounce from this 25 and then move above this week's highs around 27, 28 to get towards that next resistance around 32. So my plan would be to buy the retest of 25 if it holds up as support, and if it doesn't, then I won't play it. This one is Palantir, PLTR. On this one we saw an inside candle on the weekly chart here and an inside candle on the daily to close out the week. On the weekly, we can also see this gap right here between 30.50 and 31.50. So what I'm looking for in this play is to be able to hold this support level of like about 27.50 and then move over the recent highs of 29.50, and I'd like to see this gap tested. So if we go to the daily, I like this level here at 27.50 as a dip buy. We could see it's been respected a few times, and then the next resistance would be the recent highs of 29.30, and then on the weekly we could see the volume profile is very thin above the recent highs. So I definitely think that gap can be tested sooner than later on this play. Okay, so I have a few of the larger cap names at the end of this video that I like to set up currently. Right now, this is the Walmart weekly. We could see that strong trend line all the way back from March. Got touched in June, and now it's touching again. We have a nice wick off of that this week. So this candle pretty much is forming a doji off of this trend line, which means I'm looking for a reversal off the trend line to go long. For these type of setups, I will pretty much use the most recent candle as my levels. So 141.50 would be my risk level, and 145 would be my resistance or breakout level that I want to see broken this week or next week. So above last week's lows, I like this to go long. Below that, it's a stop loss or pretty much takes it off my watch list for going long. I also like the volume profile here. It's like pretty good built up right here with a few small gaps and thinning out as we go up. So I think this could be a good one for a reversal swing as long as we can hold this low right here. All right, here we have Nike. So Nike sold off pretty hard this week on earnings. I believe it was because of their decreased revenue and their guidance for the remainder of the year. We have a little wick off of the previous all-time high right around 148. And then if we look at the daily, earnings were pre-market, so we have this really big gap here, 152 to 158. So gap down really hard. We could see the big volume from the earnings sell-off. What I like about this setup is we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row that are red, and we got this really high volume week from that earnings sell-off. So it kind of looks like we could get a reversal from the exhaustion volume here. If looks like the selling could be done. So what I'm watching for is this level has to hold as support, 148, to go long on this play. And as long as that holds, I want to see a shorter term move into this gap that was created. It could move pretty fast through there. So basically looking for a bounce type play off of the bad earnings or bad guidance. Okay, so the last one I have is FedEx. It was another play here that had earnings last week, and we could see the high volume sell off on their earnings report. So with this one, we could see the volume on the volume profile. It has its last big node is right here at about 230, and then this huge gap below all the way down to 172, 173 with very little volume. So what I'm watching for is for maybe an inner week to be created between these levels, and then to go short or buy puts on the retest and fail. So what I'm looking for is to hold below this 235 and then buy puts to move farther into this volume gap. So we have rounded top basically breaking its support levels below. And if we look at the daily, there's a ton of selling volume in here from the earnings, so I'm thinking we see a little bit of bounce back in here, but I will only buy puts if we can stay below this gap at 235. If it starts to move into the gap, then that won't be a sign for me to be short. Alright guys, that's this week's video. You could check out my Twitter at Jeff_trades. I'm going to try to make these weekly, so if you like them, subscribe and hit me up on Twitter if you want any chart requests or any that you would like to see included in the video.